Do the whistle.
I just did it. Can't do it twice in a row.
All right, you know this guy's been with us for about a year now, Chuck Gillentine, the owner of Defiance Ridge Vineyards. But we're excited. I've been talking about it all week that we are going to talk about two of my favorite things in life, wine and chocolate. Terry Wakefield, I want this particular title, the Chief Chocolate Officer. How are you? Thanks for being with us.
It's kind of fun. And, I've been wetting my whistle.
For a long time. How long have you been in the chocolate business?
Too long. No, not long enough, probably. I've probably been in the chocolate business for over 45 years.
Oh, my goodness. How do you get into the chocolate business?
I'm a food scientist engineer.
Oh, wow.
By training. And when I was 27, I had an opportunity to run a 6.5 acre chocolate manufacturing facility where we made chocolate from every bean in the world. Wow. So we had 40 silos to store the cocoa beans, 1 million pounds of beans per silo. So we got to play for 8 years. We made equipment that had never been seen in the world before, so we could make products that had never been seen before in the year.
This is the true Willy Wonka over here.
He is.
Well, and I dressed up as Willy Wonka a number of times in my life.
Of course you did.
Actually, that's the way I met my wife's family. I dressed up as Willy Wonka to go to a Halloween party to meet her brother, and the entire family was there. So they met the big, tall Willy Wonka with the top hat, the tails, and the high boots.
Very cool. Okay, everybody, if you're just tuning in, it's a segment we call Wet Your Whistle Wednesday. So we're going to wet our whistle. We've got what, a Cab Franc, a Cab, and a Barbera?
Yes.
What regions are these from?
Well, they're all Sonoma.
Okay.
The Cab Franc, I'm sorry, is Napa.
Okay.
So I've learned so much from him over the years. We've known each other, Terry, since 2010.
Yeah. I was just going to say, how did the two of you first meet?
At my old place of business, we did some chocolate wine dinners. Terry is truly remarkable with the whole thing, not only chocolate but food pairings and just everything about wine grapes. He's like a Chuck Wagner to a degree. You know?
And we have mad respect for Chuck with Camus.
Yes, we do.
So we actually, I laughed because we sat down and I said, okay, do we have chocolate? And he's like, I didn't bring any chocolate. How do you do chocolate and wine and we don't have any chocolate? So we actually are going to do a little sea salt caramel. You actually know the family with chocolate?
Yeah. Chocolate is a company in St. Louis that is owned by the Abel family. Mm-hmm. Where you've got the father and the son and the daughter who are heavily involved in the business. And it's kind of cool to see a family-held business that is growing.
Okay. Our device got disconnected. Okay, keep going.
What I was saying about the Abel family, they are actually adding on to their facility, about doubling the size. So it's nice to see a, quote, small family business become a bigger business and become successful. So that's pretty cool.
So you worked with Bissinger's and what other companies?
The facility that I ran, that was a 6.5 acre facility, you would know as Baker's Chocolate, which is about 18% of my production. Everything else, I made chocolate for who's who of the world. I was the first person in the U.S. that supplied chocolate to Godiva.
Wow.
And then later in life, I've gone away from chocolate, gone back to chocolate. She keeps bewitching me, you know. So I was the chief chocolate officer for Seattle Chocolate out in Seattle, where we made really nice chocolate truffles. And then I went away from that, and I came to St. Louis with Bissinger's as the chief chocolatier. And then for the last 12 years, I've been consulting with chocolate makers, those people who actually take cocoa beans and turn them into chocolate, and chocolatiers who take chocolate and turn them into bonbons and truffles. Been doing that for the last 12 years. So we consult all over the world. Um, there are very few people who understand how to grow cacao and make chocolate and then make chocolates. So I'm one of a few people in the world that does that.
What an incredible job to have, right? Wouldn't you love that? So when it comes to chocolate, and you were just talking about truffles and bonbons, etc. We all think about red wine and chocolates and how much we love it. But I asked Terry, and if you're just tuning in again, Terry Wakefield, Chuck Gillentine, Monica Adams, Wet Your Whistle Wednesday. We're talking about something that I'm sure a lot of you love to pair together. But we were just talking about how we had sea salt caramels, and you said if it has too much salt, then does it overpower the wine?
Yeah, the salt just kills the wine. The other thing to say is part of my job is I did wine and chocolate pairings across the country for many years. And what I would tell people is that if you're looking to pair red wine and dark chocolate, what you have to do is find a wine you love, find a dark chocolate you love, and then you have to make sure that one of them is not too bitter.
Okay.
Some people would call it astringent, whatever you will. If both of them are bitter, they just fight.
Sure.
If one of them is and one of them isn't, then you can have a great marriage. So
you need one to give in and be a little sweeter.
yeah, and you never know which ones it's going to be. Sometimes it's the wine, sometimes it's the chocolate. But if you get it right, you taste the wine all by itself and you enjoy it. You taste the chocolate all by itself and you enjoy it. And then you put a little bit of chocolate in your mouth, let it melt, and then you pour the wine on top of it. And if it's a great pairing, is synergy. It's kind of like a whole new experience. And you say,
Kind of
wow,
like a good cheese pairing.
life is good.
It would be like the heavens open up.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
So you just mentioned, Terry, and this would be interesting for all of us that have a hosting party. Obviously, Valentine's is just next week, so maybe you're doing something special for your honey. Is there a percentage of chocolate where it gets to be too rich, too bitter, and you say that's probably not the best to pair with wine?
Well, what I would say is that where the chocolate comes from, where the cocoa beans come from, has a big bearing on how much chocolate you can have in your chocolate. So you think about it, traditionally, everybody said that Europe is the best place to get chocolate. And what I would end up saying is traditionally, all that chocolate came out of Africa. And African cocoa has a very strong chocolate note and not very bitter. But it isn't very interesting. So where cocoa originally came from was South America. South America, where they have acidic soil because of the volcanoes, it tends to be spicy and bitter. So if the very best chocolate is a combination of the two. So when I made what I think is the best chocolate in the world that I made, was about 80% African and about 20% South American. So long story short is this, is that if the dark chocolate you're tasting is too bitter, find one that has less cocoa mass, less percent chocolate, that's what it's called, or find a wine that is not overly tannic.
Okay.
So like right now, probably the wine you're drinking, even though it's a cab, it is not overly tannic. And so it might pair well with a 60% dark chocolate.
60%, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's very, very good.
Yeah. So quite often people pair chocolate with sweet wines because it's simple. I enjoy the complexity that comes out of pairing them with red wines. And you get a great pairing, you'll remember it for your life.
Absolutely. Again, if you're just tuning in, and hey, if you have any questions, I'm going to bop over to all of the different platforms. Tell your friends and family right now. We are on Facebook. We are on YouTube. We are on LinkedIn, Rumble, X, Instagram, you name it.
You're everywhere.
Yeah, we are everywhere for you. And if there is a platform, by the way, that we are not on, let us know what platform you would like for us to be on. Again, Chuck Gillentine, you see him with me. And then this is Terry Wakefield, Chief Chocolate Officer, Chief Chocolatier. If you've got a question about chocolates, and I know we're going into the big Hallmark holiday and everybody goes in. When you were in the industry, I mean, seriously, what percentage would you say just rush to get chocolate around Valentine's Day?
There are some people who hate Valentine's Day. So they don't celebrate it at all, but they're like 5%.
Yes.
So everybody else rushes.
Yeah.
So everybody else is looking for chocolate. And what I would say is if you want to plus the event, pair it with wine.
Yes.
Good wine.
Yes.
So now if you want to really, really plus it, you got wine, chocolate, flowers.
Yes, that's a trifecta, right? Absolutely. Okay, so I know the two of you have done this, and we're going to show some pictures of this. In the past, you've had a chocolate wine dinner that you did together, right?
Oh, we've had 4 or 5 of them.
Oh, several.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you're planning one that's going to be held in April.
April 15th. We just worked the date out. It's on a Tuesday now.
Oh, okay.
We're open on Wednesday nights now, so we're moving our farmhouse dinners up a day or back a day. I don't think we'll have any problem filling up. Terry's is known, and he puts on quite a dinner. You learn so much at these dinners, and he's fun to work with, and so is Kathy, his wife, and we just have a good friendship.
So the ones
fun.
that you have done in the past, what has stood out to you that you love the most?
Oh,
And I'm going to show you some pictures, by the way, as we talk
yeah,
about
I
this.
know. I'll tell you, the last one we had here was a 7-course
Wow.
dinner. And so every course had chocolate in some component. So even the salad. So we had a chocolate gastrique, which is chocolate basically with some olive oil and a little bit of vinegar. And then we also had cocoa nibs, which is you just take pure cocoa beans that have been roasted, and they provide a really nice crunch. But it's the nice thing about chocolate when it's paired with meats, the various entrees, etc., is it just expands the flavor profile of the dish, uh, even though it may not taste particularly chocolatey. So a lot of people avoid using chocolate as a spice, which is what we're basically doing there, because they only think about chocolate being a sweet. But the reality is using chocolate in many, many dishes is expands the appreciation for the dish.
Yep.
So one of the dishes that we'll be doing in April will be salmon with a mushroom balsamic chocolate sauce,
What?
which sounds weird. It is a glorious dish. We've done it a number of times around the world. It doesn't taste like chocolate, but it is a phenomenal flavor.
Yes, that was going to say, when you were going through, first of all, when you said salmon, I'm like, okay, interesting. Then you said balsamic. I'm like, okay, this is interesting. That's why you leave it to the pros, because I would take all that and I would completely ruin it. And I'd be like, this does not pair well together. I've actually had a chocolate pasta before with braised beef that was to die for.
Yes, yes. So you think about it, chocolate is pretty robust, and you add it to pasta, it bumps up the pasta. And then you think about braised beef, that's a pretty rigorous dish as well.
Yeah.
And so you're pairing two potent flavors that just become a great expression of what you can do when you put good things together.
Absolutely. So 7 courses, right?
Yeah.
7 courses. This is coming up in April. When will you
Well,
put
this one we'll do is 5.
5 courses? Okay, so the one you were talking about was 7.
That was 2 years ago.
So this will be 5, April 15th.
And the reason why we're taking it to 5 is that 7 was too much pleasure. I know that sounds crazy, but too much pleasure. People got exhausted of having just too much fun in their mouth.
No way. How can you have too much chocolate and wine together? I mean, come on.
It was
So
a fun night.
when I'm going to open this while we talk. So when will you put tickets on sale for that?
We're going to do pairings soon, and I want to make sure we have the right wines that we can work with it.
Thank you. So you had, by the way, you haven't tried yours yet.
Oh,
You did.
Mine,
Yours
I think, will go with either the Barbera or the Cab.
So what do you think that maybe held it back with the Cab Franc?
I think the Cab Franc is a little bit too tannic. It's better once the caramel sets in.
Mm-hmm.
But I think maybe a little less cocoa or something. I use 40 or 60% in making chili, and boy, does it help.
Mm-hmm.
It really makes a great chili dish.
How much do you put in your chili?
Probably a quarter of a cup.
Wow, that sounds fantastic. I've never even thought of that before. Again, getting some recipe ideas from the guys.
So what I would tell you is that most of the world-class chilies in the world contain dark chocolate.
They do.
Most of them. It's their secret ingredient.
You're like, look,
Okay.
I'm a good chef.
Okay. And the reason for that is that the natural oil in chocolate is called cocoa butter,
Okay.
and it contains 23 different fats. And each of those fats melts between like 56 degrees and 108. So you put it in a dish, different flavors get absorbed into those different fats. So when you put it in your mouth, as they melt out, it's kind of like time release. It just boom, 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 and it expands.
What was that, Terry?
Boom, 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 boom. It expands the appreciation for the dish. So that's the value of using chocolate as a savory spice as opposed to just a sweet.
Again, Terry Wakefield, if you're just tuning in, a special guest on our Wet Your Whistle Wednesday. We're talking about pairings of chocolate and red wine. A Barbera he has. I want you. Did you do your pairing already?
Oh yeah, I did.
So what do you think?
Well, it actually, this salt caramel is not real salty.
Right.
So it's and the Barbera kind of, the way actually my wife described it this way, is it's got this kind of this fruit exterior like a donut, and then it's got this tart core, and that lays off perfectly with the chocolate on the outside and then the caramel on the inside. So
I like
nice
how
pairing.
she describes it.
Yeah.
Well, who wouldn't want that for a wine? You know what? Chuck has said this in the past, and you tell me what you think. He thinks that women have a better palate by being able to pull out different notes in a wine than men do. You agree with that?
I would say that is true. I think today my wife has a better palate than I do. And I think part of it too is having the vocabulary
Sure.
to express what you're tasting. And I know for sure with Kathy, she has a better vocabulary of doing that because for years she's cooked,
Yes.
but she dealt a lot with herbs and spices, and so she can call those out better than I do, I think.
That's what we've discussed in the past. If you are a chef or if you are a cook and you have tasted herbs and spices like crazy, you start noticing those things in your wine. And that's what we've discussed, obviously, in the past. So you think that of all three of these wines we have, that you think the Cab is the best?
I would think those two would pair better than this one.
Than the Cab Franc.
But I don't know. You need to tell me.
My pairing is phenomenal. Right away, you heard me go, oh, wow, yes. But I don't know what your two's taste
I was
like.
expecting to be kind of like Harry Met Sally,
You want me to do that?
Yeah, we go.
These ratings will go through the roof. I'll have what she's having. By the way, if you have any questions, let's see real quick, as we are talking this morning, this afternoon, feel free to ask or ask later when you do a little hashtag replay. But if you are thinking of pairing chocolate and red wine together, should we stay more to the dark than a milk or a white chocolate?
Well, the trouble with white chocolate, most people, when they get a white chocolate, it's not even white chocolate. It's what's called compound coating, and it's made with a vegetable oil, and it's kind of waxy, and it doesn't taste very good.
No.
So really, real white chocolate, if you're going to use it, is always a little bit yellow. Yeah, that's just the nature of real white chocolate. White chocolate is designed to be kind of the picture frame for your picture. So the question is if you really love raspberries, you can put white chocolate with raspberries together, and the raspberry will come through, and the white chocolate will provide a nice texture. Okay. The trouble with milk chocolate for me is that depending on what flavor you're trying to deal with, the milk gets in the way. Now, if I want to do a coffee espresso flavor, then doing milk chocolate is a good mocha. Because you've got coffee and you've got cream, and it tastes great. But if you want to do something that has fruit, you're usually better off to do either white chocolate or a modest dark chocolate.
Okay.
And importantly, with fruit, you always need some acid, some tartness. So if whatever you're tasting doesn't have a lot of tartness, pair it with a really tart wine.
Interesting.
This
guy is
it'll pop
fascinating.
The fruit.
At what?
Pop the fruit.
So this Cab Franc would work.
Yep.
Yeah.
So-
Cab Francs generally are a great acid wine. And so if you want to have a strawberry or a raspberry or a cherry truffle, pair it with a good Cab Franc.
Well, I think most people, if they're just starting out, they would think, okay, I'm going to put strawberries together, I'm going to put chocolate together, and put red wine. Those are just naturals in your mind. But this is what gets fascinating is that you start going, oh, well, maybe let's try with this a little bit. You were talking about chili earlier and saying some of the best chili in the world probably has chocolate in it. But can we overdo and have too much sweet? And then all of a sudden people think in their mind, okay, well, chili, I want to make it spicy. So they overdo spice and sweet together.
So you can, but if we keep talking about percentage of chocolate in what we say a 70%. One thing is to know what 70% means. It means 70% of the chocolate is chocolate, and that means in a dark chocolate, the other 30% is sugar.
Sugar, okay.
So if I take a dark chocolate Hershey bar, it's only 15% chocolate, and the other 85% is sugar. So if you add a whole bunch of Hershey's regular dark chocolate, you're going to get something that's really sweet.
Yeah.
If you add a 75% dark chocolate, you get something that has a lot of cocoa butter and a lot of flavor from the chocolate, not too much sweetness. So you need to pick your dark chocolate carefully.
All right, we're going to be really careful with this. Let me ask this, and I love, no matter what industry somebody's in, asking them to pick their favorites. It's probably like picking a favorite child. But is there just like literally the angels would sing, the heavens would open, the best chocolate and red wine pairing that you've ever done?
I got to think about that.
Kathy's shaking her head over there.
Oh, you know? What would you say, Kathy? Or no, she doesn't want to pick. She's like, that's too hard.
No, actually, it was probably an olive oil truffle.
Olive oil truffle.
Now, this is a little bit strange. We actually served this at the last event we had, and so it was a milk chocolate
Okay.
with a very special olive oil from the Isle of Crete. It was Creta olive oil, and the whole idea of having olive oil in a chocolate truffle is kind of weird for people. But we paired that with a Chardonnay that was unoaked, and there was a lady in the back of the room when we served it. She got up on the table and she says, "I want some more of those chocolate balls." She was so excited about that pairing.
That sounds very unique. That's why I wanted to ask, because again, it's easy to say, okay, give me a cab and give me some dark chocolate.
Right.
But wow, a Chardonnay with an olive oil truffle.
Olive oil truffle. Yeah.
Where can we get those?
You can't.
Oh, of course.
There were products that I made.
Interesting.
And you think about it, my wife and I, we are in the chocolate industry, and we taste chocolate from all over the world. And the unfortunate thing is that most chocolates and truffles, whatever, if you taste them blind, you don't know what you're tasting. And so what I would wish for the world is that they would end up making products that when people taste them blind, they say, I know what it is and I love it. And very importantly, rather than saying, I think it's the best, you need to say, is it memorable?
Yeah, sure.
And if it's memorable, you now have a great product. And I would say for whatever the product is that people are making, whether it be wine or it be chocolate or great food, is if you apply the criteria of memorability, you'll own the world.
That's very, very true. Because when you think about, you and I are meeting right now, but we could
Right.
we could run back into each other a year from now. And we would want to say, what a great memory we created
Right.
together, right?
Right.
Experiences and memories, what life should all be about.
It absolutely should be. And it colors outside the lines of the way we normally describe things, but I think it reflects the reality of what we appreciate.
Absolutely. So again, be keeping an eye to DefianceRidgeVineyards.com, the website, and the calendar of events, because he will post when the April 15th tickets will go on sale for this 5-course incredible pairing. So you and your wife will be here? I got to come to this because I want to sit down. Kathy looks like a hoot over there.
But what we try to do, and Chuck alluded to this, is we try to have a great experience, but we also try to help educate people. Where does chocolate come from?
Right.
Why do you appreciate what you appreciate? And ideally, people walk away with a superb experience but also a few little factoids they can share at their next cocktail hour that says, did you know that chocolate is a fruit? And so when they tell you to eat your,
I knew you were going to say that.
when they
5
tell you
fruits
to
and
eat,
vegetables.
you're supposed to eat your fruit, to say, I'm eating my chocolate.
I'll have 5 courses of chocolate, and I have my servings for the day.
So the answer behind that is cocoa beans are grown as a pod on a tree. Okay. So the beans are the seeds of the pod, just like in an apple. And so cocoa beans are fruit. So that's the reason why I said it. By the way, also chocolate is very high in antioxidants. Has the chocolate that I used to make was 6 and 9 times the antioxidants you get out of blueberries. So if you're really worried about your health, eat good dark chocolate.
And drink red wine because it's got resveratrol in it. Come
That's
on.
right, that's
This
right.
is it. All you need in life is red wine and chocolate.
Well, actually, there's another piece about chocolate. Really good dark chocolate, believe it or not, will help you get a good night's sleep
Why?
because the chocolate boosts your serotonin,
Yeah.
which makes you feel good.
Yes.
Okay. And then, contrary to popular opinion, it does not contain a bunch of caffeine. It contains something in the caffeine family called theobromine. And what theobromine does is it relaxes the big, broad muscles of your body.
Okay.
So if you're feeling good and you're relaxed, what's going to happen?
You have a good night's sleep.
No, you have a great time and then have a good night's sleep.
Well, let me ask this, since you know so much about chocolate. People would tell their young kids, teenagers in particular, okay, if you eat too much chocolate, you're going to break out. But I've heard from doctors that's not true, that the chocolate is not causing it.
So what happens is the cause of acne and that sort of thing is what you call inflammation in your body. And inflammation kind of undergirds all kinds of diseases. So the antioxidants that we talk about, and I said chocolate contains a lot more antioxidants than blueberries, antioxidants neutralize that inflammation if there's enough chocolate in the chocolate. So if you're eating a standard Hershey bar, you've got a lot of sugar and it's going to make inflammation. If you eat a 70%, 60, 70% dark chocolate, it's going to neutralize inflammation. So it's not a matter whether you eat chocolate, it's what kind of chocolate do you eat.
That high amount of sugars is
By the
what's
way,
causing it.
It's the high amount of sugar that, by the way, that's the other thing that keeps people awake at night when they eat chocolate. It's the sugar buzz,
Sure.
not the caffeine buzz.
That's why they say, oh my gosh, don't give my kids sugar at night. They're bouncing off the walls, right?
That's right.
That's a good lesson. So when I'm grilling and I want to use something different in a rub, could you use cocoa?
Yeah. So actually, cocoa, which is pure chocolate that you've pressed out a lot of the cocoa butter, so it's a cocoa powder, is a great pairing with espresso in making a steak rub. So if you take espresso and what's called low-fat cocoa and rub it on with some spices in it, makes a superb steak. And the other important thing to know too is that most of the cocoa out there that people know about is called Dutch processed cocoa. Well, Dutch processed cocoa is natural cocoa that was treated with alkali. What I end up saying is basically you take Drano and you pour it into your perfectly nice natural cocoa, and that becomes Dutch processed cocoa. And it chemically burns the product so it's dark, it looks rich, but it takes all the flavor out of it. So if you're going to do that, always get a natural cocoa, pair it with some good espresso, put some other spices in it. You'll have a great time.
So somebody bought us a rub. That's why I'm glad you asked that. And that did have it's a chocolate infused and it's got espresso with it. There's another one that's got more like chili powder.
Yep, chili
So like
goes good.
cayenne
I
and
love
chocolate
chili.
together.
Oh, yeah.
My gosh, what a good pairing.
Well, and take a blend of different chilies. Some of them are very hot. Some of them just have a very broad flavor profile. And so if you put the two together, you add what I call layers of flavor. And if you think about foods that we love, they always have different expressions as you go through the taste. So as you're constructing your dishes, think about, how do I build in layers of flavor?
Yeah. What would be a good pairing of chocolate for breakfast?
Actually, a good pairing of chocolate for breakfast for me is a good cup of espresso and a 60% dark chocolate.
Okay. Just drink your breakfast.
Yeah. Well, you think about it. You're again. Remember, the dark chocolate is going to give you a shot of antioxidants.
Mhm.
It's going to make you feel good.
It's a good way to start a morning.
It's going to relax you, and the coffee is going to provide that caffeine boost. Not bad. It's a good way to start the day, and then you can figure out what else you add.
Yeah. Hey, I want to have chocolate in every meal now, don't you? All of you that are on with us live, thank you, by the way. I tell people, share this. This is a really fascinating Wet Your Whistle Wednesday. There's a lot of great things coming up. We were just mentioning earlier, by the way, that they now are open for you on Wednesdays until 9 o'clock and Thursdays till 9 o'clock.
Yes.
So
Thursdays.
11 to 9.
Yes. And then Sundays now we have brunch.
Yes, I saw that.
It's all day. There's like 7 different items that we're serving. We started last Sunday. Everything worked out pretty well. Like 5 or 6 new sandwiches on the list, using companion bread, and very happy about that. So.
Yeah, they've got some exciting things, by the way. I always tell you to check their calendar of events. They've got trivia nights, and a lot of those sell out quickly. I saw you had the Friends trivia coming up. You've got a Star Wars coming up. 80s trivia, I think, is the next one you have.
They just all sell out. It's interesting, yes.
How many people come to those nights?
Nearly 300.
Wow. People love it. Do you like trivia?
Of course.
He likes chocolate trivia. Invite this guy to a chocolate trivia.
I'm good on some things, not on others.
That would be a good one.
Right?
Yeah.
Come on, a chocolate trivia. And he'd be your
You may stump them all. No question about that.
I wanted to ask you about this. I saw this on your website, and we didn't get a chance to talk about it the last time I was here. So you've got a trip coming up that I want you to talk about. That I don't know if people are already signing up for this one, but I went way ahead in your calendar of events, and I'm like, how come I didn't know about this?
Now we're this is in October.
Yeah.
And we're sponsoring a trip down to Seine, and it's October, I think, 15th to the 25th.
Mm-hmm.
We've already got, I think, 15 couples going.
Really?
Yeah.
So I didn't realize this, but my mother, who has traveled all over the world, has never been to Paris. And I'm like, how is that possible? And all of a sudden I saw this and I said, maybe Mama Jackie and myself need to join you on this.
Well, maybe you should. I mean, we fly into Paris and we spend a day and a half, and we bus to the ocean, and we spend some time in Normandy, which is why I'm doing it. And and then we're floating up the Seine back to Paris, and I think there's 2 extra days after that in Paris.
Okay, so are you and Michelle going on this?
Yes, we're going on it.
All right, so Mama Jackie's here. Doesn't that sound good to you? And I think you and your wife should join us.
We would have fun.
She says yes. Okay, I think we just got 6 more.
We're actually, there'll be a lot of great French wines on the trip.
Okay.
So,
left bank and right bank, right?
I'm sure once we're there on the ocean, we'll have a little bit of both.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
He's in charge. Whatever
We'll
you
go
want.
back through and have Loire, wines and some incredible Cab Francs. I would think.
Sign me up.
Also enjoy some good French chocolates.
Okay, sign me up. You game? She's in the background saying yes.
Plus the event,
We're working on flights right now. So the lady in charge has been sending me flight information every week.
Well, and I also saw on there that if you want to tack on either prior to or after with a little extra time, you can do that too.
You can do both.
Okay, so we didn't get a chance to talk about that last time. I was like, this is fascinating. How did I not know about this? No, I just I'm glad I scrolled way forward in your calendar because I was like, whoa, hello. We lost the lead here.
We're saving the best for last.
Evidently, yes. All right, everybody. Again, Wet Your Whistle Wednesday. You never know who we're going to have along with us. You have been my favorite guest so far. Cool. We could talk for hours about chocolate. Wouldn't you want to?
I mean, he's incredible.
Yes.
Terry is. I love every time he comes in and just as a friend, but just talking business too. So
absolutely.
Well, the fun thing is that Chuck has an extremely broad array of wines.
Yes.
So it really opens up the possibilities of what's a great pairing.
Sure.
And my wife and I are doing an event tomorrow. We're doing a wine and chocolate event, just wine and chocolate.
In where you live, you said,
where
right?
we live, just for the guests where we live. And we went through 17 different bottles of wine.
Okay.
In order to come up with 3 pairings. And it was because we couldn't find wines that had enough acidity to work with our chocolates. And if we had to come out here, we would have found it easily.
Right, absolutely. 17 bottles of wine over like how many days?
3.
Oh,
And so last night, because remember we were tasting, is we had most of the bottles full. And so we had a pizza party last night. My wife invited a bunch of friends over, and we had pizza and wine. Everybody had a broad selection of wines to choose from. And then everybody was obligated to take a bottle home.
is there a house open for sale in your neighborhood? I would like to move by you and be your neighbor. This sounds like a blast. By the way, speaking of a pairing, pizza and red wine is one of my absolute favorites.
Oh yeah. Well, and here we had a pretty broad array of pizzas. So we had the meat lovers pizza. We also had a vegetarian pizza. We had a pizza with cream sauce, one with red sauce, one with just olive oil. And so different wines work better with different pizzas.
Sure, absolutely.
So it was fun.
Are you all hungry? You're hungry and ready to drink, right? You're probably all getting ready to get off work, or you're watching while you're at work and going, hang on, I want some of that. Again, Terry Wakefield, Chuck Gillentine, April 15th. Keep it on your calendar. Keep it open, and then we'll let you know in the coming Wet Your Whistle Wednesdays when those tickets go on sale. 5 courses. Do you have an idea on ticket price for this yet?
Not yet.
Not yet, okay.
It's according what the chocolate's going to
Yeah,
cost.
well, and what exotic ingredients we add.
And look, last time we had some exotic ingredients, my chef was like, during that whole week, he's going, I can't believe we're doing this stuff, you know. But after the event and after working with Terry, he said, when can I work with him?
Oh, see.
Yeah.
But I can also tell you that we have friends who are extremely well traveled, have had gourmet food all over the world, and that night, I remember particularly Scott said, "This is the best meal I've had in my life."
Wow.
And Scott, he handled events for a very large corporation, so they traveled all over the world. That was quite a compliment to you guys.
No kidding.
Thank you.
Okay, does that not make you want to say, this is one I don't want to miss? There's a lot of phenomenal farmhouse dinners that they have, but this is one that sounds like you will not want to miss it. April 15th, I'm buying tickets. So before they go on sale, let me know, because I think they're going to go fast.
We'll do.
Jim and I are coming to that. Mom, you want to come to that one? She says, sure. So there's 3 of your tickets. Terry, it was a pleasure to meet you. Thank you so much. And Chuck, again, always bringing great guests to us. To all of you, we thank you, and we want you to wet your whistle with whatever you can, whenever you can. But when it comes to a winery, I want you to remember, my friends, support those that support us. Defiance Ridge Vineyards. Keep an eye on their page for all the great things to come. Toast, my friends. Oh, he's all gone. You got to go wet your whistle.
Just a little bit.
All right, I'm going to do my pairing. You enjoy your afternoon. Thanks so much. I'll see you, by the way, tomorrow morning in Cottleville for Positive Talk Time. We're back with Jessica Cook. We can't wait for that. I'll see you at 7 a.m.